Yo, this is Jay from Straight Smoke Gaming, and in today's video, we are going to be doing a kind of interesting video. It's a fantasy draft here, and what we're going to be doing with this fantasy draft is I'm going to be taking every single offensive player I can to fill up my offense before we draft a single defensive player. The theory here is we're going to see if you can win a championship with a really good offense and a really bad defense. We will be making a part 2 of this video where we end up doing the opposite, where we draft all defense before we draft any offense. So let's go ahead and take a look here what we're going to do with our first pick. Honestly, not impressed with the quarterbacks. Still got some good running backs here. Take a look at wide receivers. Not really impressed with the wide receivers. And then you got tight ends. But, I think the clear answer here is to go with a running back. And I'm going to end up taking Saquon Barkley. What he does on the ground and through the air is just ridiculous. Derrick Henry would have been another good option. But he's not really as good in the passing game. So that's why I took Barkley here. So as you can see, we're an 86 overall, 93 on offense, and a 79 on defense. Let's go ahead and take a look at how the team fares out. I did not draft a single defensive player, so once I filled up my offense, I just simmed the draft and I let the CPU draft my defense. Let's go ahead and take a look at how this team looks like. We know I have an idea what the offense looks like. We're going to go over that as well. So we ended up taking Matt Stafford at quarterback. Good veteran, 84 overall. You got Barkley at the running back, a 98 overall running back. I made sure to get a good offensive line, as you can see there. That'll help with the run game. It'll also help keep Stafford clean. And then you got, you got Travis Kelce as the tight end. You got good receivers, Drake London, Michael Pittman, and then the wide receiver 3 is going to also be Tyler Lockett. Overall, I think this is a good team. Under Barkley, there's James Conner, which I feel like is a good 1-2 punch for the team. You got Jonnu Smith as a tight end, too, if you want to go into 2 tight end sets. I do want to note, though, I turned off injuries just that way. That doesn't really affect the outcomes. This team is going to have the best offense that it's going to have the offense I drafted. It's going to be the best it can possibly be all year long. We're going to sim the season, see how they do. So overall, I'm happy with this offense. I think this offense can do good. Good running backs, good receiving core, good quarterback, veteran quarterback. I like that. Got a good line, and, you got the veteran tight end. Travis Kelce's older, still pretty good. We got 2 X factors on that offense. Taking a look at defense, and, like I expected, this defense is rough. Best player is probably going to be the 89 overall Bobby Wagner up there. We got 80 overall corner, so that's good. Cam Jordan's cool on the edge. That's a good vet there. And then you got Nolan Smith. Is that Shaq Barrett? So, overall, the defense isn't bad. There's names that I know, but it's definitely nowhere near up to what a normal NFL defense would look like, at least for a team that's going to compete. This team really defensively lacks star power. But as you can see here, it doesn't really matter here. As we're at the midway point of the season, we're 5-1, and if you take a look at where we rank here, I want to note this. It's kind of interesting. Offensively, we're top 10 in all the offensive categories. That's good. That's expected. But defensively, we're also top 10 in all defensive categories, which kind of comes as a shock to me because we know how bad this defense is. There's really only a few players that are notable on this defense. So for them to put up numbers like this through the midway point of the season, that's good. But realistically, I don't think that's really sustainable for the course of the rest of the season. So at the midway point of the season here, as you can see, Matt Stafford has 1,600 yards. He's got 18 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, completing about 68% of passes. Not bad for Stafford. Obviously, it could be better, but I do want to remind you we focused on the run game, so Saquon should be doing good here. 88 attempts, 484 yards, averaging 5.5 yards a carry. Gets into the end zone 4 times. That's good. I can live with that. I think Saquon's living up to the hype as to where I drafted him. And one thing I did want to note as well, James Conner is also really good, averaging 4.8 yards a carry. Obviously, not going to be in as much with Barkley and injuries turned off. But if you can go from averaging 5.5 yards a carry, and then when he comes out because he needs a break, put Conner in, averaging almost another 5, that's excellent. Receiving-wise, Tyler Lockett, kind of a surprise here, drafted as the wide receiver 3, has 37 receptions for 523 yards and 6 touchdowns. He is leading the team in yards and touchdowns. He's got a little bit less receptions than Drake London here with 39. He's got 402 receiving yards for London and 3 touchdowns. Not bad for London. Obviously, he's the wide receiver 1. You would want him to do a little bit better, probably the Tyler Lockett type numbers. But if your wide receiver 3 is putting up those numbers, I'm okay with a little bit of down numbers from your wide receiver 1. Michael Pittman, 27 receptions, 294 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Kind of a disappointing year for Michael Pittman halfway through the season. He's really like kind of one of the odd mans out here in the passing game. It just feels like I would expect him to do what Tyler Lockett's doing more than what Michael Pittman's doing. And another guy that's kind of lacking here is Travis Kelce. 19 receptions, 209 yards, and only 4 touchdowns. Not bad from Kelce. I like the red zone threat, the 4 touchdowns, but I would prefer a little bit more in the receiving game and receptions-wise. Barkley, not doing bad in the receiving game. 2 receptions, 164 yards, 16 receptions. So overall, I'd say the passing game is not bad. James Conner logs 1 reception as well. So overall, the passing game is not bad. I can live with it based on what the run game is doing, and the team's playing really good. We're 5-1. Let's go ahead and take a look at the defense real quick. Taking a look, the team leader in sacks is going to be Nolan Smith with 4.5. I'll take that. That's not bad, especially only at the midway point of the season. So, it'll be interesting to see if the defense can keep up that pace. Next, we're going to take a look at tackles for loss, and the leader in that is Cam Jordan. No surprise there. Cam Jordan's a vet on the defensive line. Still really good. Definitely not what he was in his prime, but still a really good defensive lineman. Team leader in tackles is going to be Nolan Smith. Nolan Smith's coming in really clutch in this video, at least for the first half of the season. And then taking a look at the interceptions, you got Jordan Lewis leading the team with 4 interceptions. Pretty good through 6 games to have 4 interceptions. I'd say that's pretty good. So the big takeaway here at the midway point of the season, at least for me, is going to be if this defense can keep it up for the majority of the rest of the season, I guess. And as you can see there, we end up making the playoffs. No surprise there. We're the 1 seed. So that's interesting here. We're gonna have the first round bye. It'll be interesting to see who we have to play or how that will affect the team. Taking a look, we're going to take a look more at stats here in a second. We did go 13-4. We obviously won our division, best team in the NFC. So I would mark that as a win. To go 13-4, that's not easy to do. Definitely something to be proud of. Offensively, we were one of the best teams, but I did want to note defensively, we did fall off a little bit. So we're not going to really focus too much on the defensive stats because they fell off as we were expecting. We do have some people in the league leaders here. We got Stafford up there at the top of the quarterbacks. We got Barkley as a top 3 running back. And Tyler Lockett, surprisingly, is the best receiver in the league, according to league leaders. So we're going to go ahead and dive into the yards and all that stuff here a little bit more. One thing I did think was crazy off the rip here, Tyler Lockett, it says he has 18 touchdowns. That's a lot of touchdowns, especially for Tyler Lockett. As the wide receiver 3, but we're going to take a look at how the team does as a whole and look at players more specifically. So Matt Stafford finishes with 4,468 yards. He ends up having 43 touchdowns with 7 picks. I'll take that touchdown to interception ratio. That's over a 4. So that's awesome. Complete 67% of passes. That's also really good. So I'd say that's a win for Stafford. Taking the older quarterback didn't really affect us. If anything, I think it helped us quite a bit. Saquon Barkley, he has 222 attempts, 1,371 yards, and 10 touchdowns. One thing I did want to note, he did not fumble at all this year, so that's good. Averaging 6.2 yards a carry, that's going to be good. I really like that, rushing-wise. He was good. I do find it interesting that Drake London got a couple carries and Jonnu Smith did, or that's not surprising. Jonnu Smith was our fullback, so that makes sense. But, James Conner fell off a little bit, only averaged a 3.7 yards carry. So in the run game, Saquon was definitely the bell cow, the guy who carried this team on the ground. Don't get me wrong, the offensive line definitely helped that. We made sure we drafted a good offensive line for us to get numbers like that. Tyler Lockett, 104 receptions, 1,454 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Really good for Tyler Lockett. He definitely outperformed the expectations I had for him coming into the season as the wide receiver 3. So I'll take that. That's really good. Tyler Lockett, the vet, helped us out a lot. Drake London, one thing that I find interesting here, we had 2 1,000-yard receivers. London was the second one, having 96 receptions for 1,043 yards. Only gets into the end zone 3 times, though, so that's not good. But when you got your wide receiver 3 putting up 18 touchdowns, and as you can see down there, Travis Kelce finished with 9. He was definitely not one of the more notable red zone threats on this team, so I can live with that. Michael Pittman, really, he kind of like embarrassed me here. I thought that was a good sneaky pick to be the wide receiver too. Only has 67 receptions, 788 yards, and 6 touchdowns. I was expecting more out of Pittman, but I mean, the team's winning. They're doing what they got to do to win. They got the 1 seed, so I guess I can live with it. Travis Kelce, 50 receptions, 583 yards, 9 touchdowns. Obviously, you would like Kelce to put up a little bit more. He was the X factor in the receiving game. He was a 99 overall. You're expecting more out of Kelce, but like I was saying, if the offense is going to win, I can live with that. We're going to take a look at defense real quick, going over a few things here. Starting off with sacks, Nolan Smith finished with 10.5. So Smith, I'd say he did his thing. That's good. Jordan Lewis only had 5 interceptions to end the year, so that sucks. He had 4 at the midway point of the season, was only able to add 1, so that hurts. When it comes to the end of the season, though, they did not end up winning the game. They lost to the Bears in the NFC Championship game. Matt Stafford, taking a look at the game, 2 interceptions, not good. You only threw 7 all year. You go into the NFC Championship game and you throw 2. Right off the rip, I'm thinking that's part of the reason as to why we lost the game. But then I find Saquon Barkley only averaged 3.8 yards a carry. That's almost 4, but when you go from averaging 6.6 or whatever it was, going down to 3.8, you're going to be able to tell a difference there. Tyler Lockett did his thing, 7 receptions, 76 yards, and a touchdown. Saquon Barkley did his thing in the receiving game with 62 yards and a touchdown. Another thing that was crazy to me, David Moore in this game, I didn't talk about him at all because he wasn't relevant in the video, really. He didn't get much work. But in this game, he had 4 receptions for 59 yards. Drake London did his thing, 6 receptions, 56 yards. And the main thing here I was looking for, Michael Pittman, no receptions. I don't know what's going on with that. Obviously, he wasn't injured because we turned injuries off. But Michael Pittman let the team down in the NFC Championship game. Like I was saying, disappointing year. This team went 13-4, so you would expect to win the Super Bowl, and that's honestly the expectations I had, especially at the midway point of the season, seeing us 5-1. Overall, though, they were a good team. They were obviously a good team offensively. Honestly, to me, surprisingly, a good defensive team. I would take where they were, considering how late I drafted any defensive players. So overall, I think this was a pretty cool video. I think I enjoyed it. Go ahead and comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. But when it comes to this video, that's all we got. So if you enjoyed, please remember to like and sub for more Madden content, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.